And a very good morning to you. It's John Fradgley from the Bell Legal Group, back with you for another program of The Law and You right here on 4CRB. Your opportunity to get free legal advice. All we need you to do is either call or email. The telephone number, of course, 55208888. That's 55208888. Add 07 in front of that if you're south of the Tweed River. Or you can get through to us on talkback at 4crb.com. That's talkback at 4crb.com. But we've had someone waiting very patiently on the phone for some time, so we'll say a very quick and good morning to Roy. G'day, Roy. How are you?
John, I'm well. I can hardly hear you. Can you hear me?
I can now. It's getting a little bit better, yes.
I'm struggling to hear you, but
can you hear me now?
Never mind. I trust you're well this morning.
I am indeed. Can you hear me a little better now?
Not much better.
Oh, I see.
But listen, I'm not testing your skills and expertise this morning in the sense I had a slight bingle in a car park recently with a young woman. And little damage done. We were able to drive away. But we can't agree who's to blame.
Right.
She would have a significant excess on her policy as a fairly young driver. And she's playing a fairly hardball game. And she wants to claim against my policy. And I just wonder, John, is there a community agency we could consult with to referee on this?
Look, the only thing I could think is that, and I'm not sure whether you would be able to use their services or not, they do have the neighbourhood dispute resolution process, which has a mediation process attached to it, but I'm not sure that they actually operate in this particular field or not.
I understand.
Roy, the only thing I could suggest that you might consider doing would be to ring the Community Legal Service at Southport. Have you got a pen handy?
I have.
So their number is 55329611.
55329611. 61. 55329611.
Yes. So, Roy, how did the accident actually happen?
There was so many cars involved. It was busy time. I was reversing. She was coming in. There were two leaving, and I had a woman beside me wanting to get her old mother out of her four-wheel drive, and I was waiting for her to do that. And she hinted to me, well, why don't you move, and then I can get my mother out.
Right.
And in the meantime, this little green car behind me had been there for some time. I'd had my reversing lights on for several minutes, waiting for something to happen, and unfortunately I reversed into her.
Right.
But little damage, but she's playing hardball.
Yes, okay. Well,
I'm happy with the small damage I've got, but really it was a bit messy at the time.
Yes. Are you insured? Are you comprehensively insured?
Yes, but I haven't had a claim in 75 years of driving.
Yes.
I'm now 88 years old, and I've never had a claim.
Yep.
So I've been happy to have a pretty considerable excess on my policy too. So,
yes.
You know, I don't really want to spoil my no-claim bonuses.
Right, okay.
I enjoy a 65% no-claim bonus.
Yes. All right, well, look, the only thing that I could suggest you do then is call the Community Legal Service that I've given you the details of and see what they can do for you, and we'll take it from there.
I appreciate your advice, John.
Okay then, Roy, all the very best with
very
that.
much.
Cheers
well
now.
Done.
Bye.
Thank you. Ta-da.
Right, well, we seem to be having some technical difficulties at the moment, so we might just take a couple of words from our sponsor and we'll see if we can resolve those. I'll be back in a moment.
Summer might be over, but skin cancer is still on the march. Don't be complacent, stay sun safe and get your skin checked regularly. Book a skin check at our sponsor, Skin Alert Paradise Point, on 5577 5533.
Here's an offer to make you smile. Pay nothing out of pocket for a dental checkup, x-rays and clean if you have Health Fund Extras cover. That's right, a no-gap exam, x-rays and clean at participating Maven Dental practices. Now that's an offer to make you smile. Book your appointment today. Visit mavendental.com.au to find your nearest practice for more information and T's and C's. mavendental.com.au. Maven Dental, making smiles.
A sponsor.
Well, we don't seem to know what was going on there before. I'm not sure whether you, the listening audience, were able to hear us there while I was talking to Roy or not. I certainly hope that you were. But if not, our apologies for that. It was basically a call in relation to a slight bingle that Roy had in the car park at a shopping centre, and he was wanting to know how they can deal with that if they can't agree on blame, who was responsible. So I suggested to him that he should call the community legal centre, the Gold Coast Community Legal Centre at Southport on 55329611 to see if there might be a mediation service that may be able to assist them. But our lines are free at the moment. If you have a question or a query today you'd like an answer to, get on the telephone straight away. That number, of course, 55208888. Our number again, 55208888. And while we're waiting for some callers to come through, you may remember that last week I was talking about uncommon driving offences, and in particular some of the unusual things that people can be charged with. For example, driving too slow on a street or on a highway, particularly on an open highway like the M1. If you're driving too slow, you can be charged. And there are also other offences that one would not commonly think of. And one of the things I mentioned was riding on electric scooters or mobility aids, that you can be charged with drink driving on those particular devices. And it was interesting to note that in Brisbane last weekend, the police actually had a blitz on those electric scooters that have been in the news recently in relation to Brisbane. And it was just, I found it interesting because by coincidence, we were in Brisbane for the weekend, and a friend of mine and I went for a couple of very long walks on the Friday and the Saturday, and we were passed by quite a number of those scooters, and I was surprised at the number of people riding without helmets on, and then secondly, the number of people who were talking on the telephone while they were riding the scooter. And it was interesting to hear the news reports in relation to those saying that there were a number of people who were charged with failing to wear a helmet while they were riding on one of those scooters, and a couple of people charged with talking on the phone at the same time. So just bear in mind that even if you're driving one of those 4-wheel or 3-wheel mobility scooters or devices, you can be charged with driving offences. So you just need to bear in mind that you do have to observe the road rules. Another really interesting one that I read about over the weekend, which I found quite amusing, was the fact that you can also be charged with driving under the influence whilst riding a horse. And there was a case in Queensland not that long ago where a woman rode into a bottle shop, a drive-through bottle shop at a pub. One can only assume that it would have been in the country somewhere. And she was apparently 4 times over the legal limit on her horse. And I presume that she was charged with being in charge of a horse while under the influence of alcohol. So there you go. So don't assume that you can ride your bicycle or you can ride your horse if you happen to have one to avoid those laws. You certainly can't. But enough of that. We've got Chris online. Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
Yes, good morning. I'm well, thank you very much.
Can you hear me okay, Chris?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good, yes. We seem to have a little problem on our earlier call, so I'm glad that whatever was going on, it seems to have been solved. How can I help you today?
In regard to wills.
Yes.
I have an existing will and an enduring power of attorney, and I'm thinking of updating my will and changing it a bit. Does my enduring power of attorney have to be also done, or is that will it be
No.
current still?
They're entirely separate documents, so
I know.
the mere fact that you make a change to your will does not mean that you have to update your power of attorney. So it would obviously be advisable to review the power of attorney just to make sure you're still happy with the people that you've got appointed and that the terms of the document are otherwise as you want them to be. But beyond that, no. As long as it's a lawful power of attorney that's been properly made, then there's no problems with that at all.
Well, they were done concurrently, but like I said, and they're fairly old now. But I still want to keep it. I just want to update the will and change
Yes.
a few people in it or
Yes.
conditions in
Yes.
it. So
No.
the enduring power of attorney is still okay.
Yes, it would still be okay. I mean, you could ask if you did it through a lawyer, you could ask your lawyer at the same time when you go for the appointment, look, just have a quick review of the EPOA just to make sure that it's quite okay. They shouldn't charge you anything for doing that and for telling you that it is okay. It's just when documents were made a long time ago, sometimes it's advisable to get them reviewed to make sure there hasn't been any change either in the law or in the way those documents are prepared that is not included in your document or needs to be included in your document.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right,
Thank you very much for that.
Okay, Chris, all the very best. Time on 4CRB, just coming up to 17 minutes past 9. That's past 10, of course, south of the border. As we say, a very good morning to Leo. G'day, Leo. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
That's good. How can we help?
Just a little question that came up. You were talking about speed on the freeways before, and if you're going too slow, you can get booked. What on a modern car, we get a puncture and we whip out the spare and, wait on, it's an 80 kilometre hour speed limited spare. And I'm on the freeway in 100 or 120k area. Do I get booked for sitting on 80k in 120 area?
Look, Leo, I wouldn't think so. As long as you didn't decide that if you were on a trip to Sydney, you didn't decide that you were going to drive from Tweed Heads to Sydney on your 80k spare. But I think if you are on your 80k spare and you're on your way to get your other tyre fixed, and you're taking the most reasonable route, I don't think that you would have too many worries about that. Obviously, you'd want to stay in, if it's a multi-lane freeway, you'd want to stay in the left lane, and if cars are travelling significantly faster than you, it may be an idea to put your hazard lights on. But I certainly can't see in those circumstances that the police would book you for going too slow.
All right. Just a query, just in case it did happen.
Yes, well, I mean, I've actually got one of those little spares as well, and, I don't like the thing at all. I would like to be able to put a fair income tyre on my car when if I ever did get a puncture. So it's something that's crossed my mind before, and just thinking about the fact that you can only run those tyres. They do quite clearly say on them maximum speed 80k. And I think that's more about handling issues rather than speed issues. But nonetheless, it does say that, and so you wouldn't want to go too far over that speed for fear that if something else did happen, that it may in some way affect your insurance on your car. So yes, it is a bit of an issue, but I don't think you've got too much to fear there.
All right, then thank you, John. That cleared it up there quite nicely.
Okay.
And you have a great day.
Thanks very much. You too. This is 4CRB 89.3 FM. The Law and You is the program. 55208888 is our phone number if you have a question or a query. That number again is 55208888. Lines are presently clear, so call straight through and we'll be happy to deal with your question. We'll be back after this word from our sponsor.
Are damaged or collapsed rollers making your sliding glass or security door difficult or dangerous to use? Worn rollers can permanently damage the track. If you would like your doors sliding properly and safely again, call our station sponsor Easy Slide on 55228373. Easy Slide cover the Tweed and Gold Coasts, and if they can't fix your sliding door, their visit is free, guaranteed. Call Easy Slide, that's EZI Slide on 55228373.
A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about advanced health directives and what the purpose of those are. And a few people since have asked me what is the relevance, if any, between an advanced health directive and voluntary euthanasia. And of course, the two are quite different. The making an advanced health directive is lawful in most states in Australia, whereas voluntary euthanasia, I think, presently is still illegal in all states in Australia. There was an attempt to pass it, I think, from memory, either in the Northern Territory or the ACT, but the Commonwealth Government overruled it. So I will talk about that in a moment, but first we've got a couple of callers online, and we'll say a very good morning to William. G'day, William. How are you?
Oh, yes, John, how are you today?
Well, indeed. Thanks. How can I help?
Mine's a question on with regards to the change in franking credits, and I know I could have possibly rang the boys on Thursday, but I thought you might have an opinion. It's
sure.
About the franking credits. If the Labor government get in and then stop franking credits to pensioners or self-funded retirees, can companies, in your time, could a company decide not to pay the tax and just pay, like some companies like Macquarie, AMP and BlueScope, some of them pay 45% and some pay nil.
Yes, so in other words, some issue dividends that are fully franked and some issue dividends that are only partly franked.
That's right.
Yes, no, well, I've certainly noted that.
Yeah, could a company decide to say, well, we've decided we have a lot of pensioners or retirees that get franking credits, and we're now not going to pay franking credits, do the franking credits at all?
Well, I think the franking credits arise out of the tax that the company has paid on its income. So
yeah, but
I'm not sure whether
that
would be possible. Quite honestly, William, I think it would be a question best delivered to the boys at Finance Forum on Thursday morning.
Yeah, okay.
Because obviously it's not within my area of expertise, and I don't really think I know enough about it to be able to give you any meaningful advice on it. So I think as much as I'd like to help, I think it'd probably be a better idea if you give Finance Forum a call on Thursday morning, same number of course, and hopefully they'll be able to answer that query not only for you but also for our other listeners, many of whom I know are very concerned about this particular issue.
Yes, okay.
All right,
thanks
then.
Very much.
Okay, William. And the time on 4CRB continues to roll along. It's just past 23 minutes past 9 as we say a very good morning to Philip. G'day, Philip. How are you today?
Well, thank you, John.
How can I help?
I just heard the tail end of the guy talking about the speed limits and the space savers. It's my bugbear. People get this wrong all the time. I'm actually looking at the government website. It says on single-lane roads you must stay as close as practical to the left side of the road, but on multi-lane roads, if the posted speed limit is 90 k's an hour or more, you must not be in the right lane.
Yes. No.
So going up the M1,
yes.
the three left lanes are open slather. You can stay there all day. And on a dual carriageway, if it's not more than 90 kilometres an hour, so an 80k zone, you can stay in the right lane all day. And
when you say a dual carriageway, do you mean a four-lane highway, or are you talking about a one lane in either direction?
Well, no, it's saying on single-lane roads, you've got to stay to the left, but on multi-lane roads. So that's
so if it's two lanes, you can be in either lane.
Correct, and you can be if it's 80 k's or less, you can stay in the right lane all day. If it's more than 80 k's, which say the M1, then you can't be in the right lane unless you're overtaking. But the other three lanes are open slather, and it has occurred to me too about these space saver tyres that there can't be a minimum, and I've never read a minimum speed, but it can't be less than 80 k's because
you mean it can't be 80 k's or more.
Well, that's right. Yes. Because otherwise you'd be illegal using a space saver tyre on the freeway.
Yes. Well, I don't know that it's actually an offence to drive slowly. I think what they charge you with is something like careless driving or something of that nature. I don't think there is an actual offence of driving too slowly. But as for which lane you use, I think it's just common courtesy to use the lane closest to the left.
I disagree, John, because the one closest to the left is the one they merge on, and as soon as they teach people in Queensland to merge, I'll do it. And secondly, down the M1, the two left lanes are for the trucks.
Yep.
If I want to do 90 Ks in a 100 zone, I'm not going to mix it up with a couple of Kenworths. I'll sit in the third lane. That gives them full scope of the two lanes to go around me, and it gives the people behind me a lane either side to go around me. So I would argue any of those in court.
Yes, fair enough. Okay, well, the only thing I would say to you is that I agree with you about people learning to merge, but sadly, Philip, I don't think it's limited to Queensland. I've often thought that, particularly coming up the M1, when you come up in peak hour, there should be signs which say that before you arrive at an on-ramp for vehicles travelling on the highway, that they should be required to open the distance between the vehicles to 5 or 6 car lengths so that there's ample room for merging, and the cars merging should be required to merge at the speed on the road, so on the highway, so that because where it all happens, from what I've seen over many years, is that people on the freeway bunch right up because they don't want to let anyone in, so all the cars coming on the on-ramp are all bunched up as well, and there's nowhere for anyone to go. Whereas I have noticed on occasion coming up the M1 that some drivers in the left lane will deliberately slow down and open up a considerable section in front of them so that people from the left can merge in, but unfortunately the cars merging on are all staying bunched up, so the benefit that driver's given is lost with the people not merging correctly.
Yeah, I take that point. The other point is, and you've probably not noticed it, have a look on your way home, have a look where they put the 100 speed signs on the on-ramp.
Oh, yes, they're at the end.
They're at the bottom.
Yeah, no, they
so
should be halfway down.
You should be doing 60 Ks down the on-ramp until you get to the 100 K sign.
Yep.
They ought to put it at the top.
Yes. Well, certainly if you go into the M1, say north of Nerang from Smith Street north, the merging there, I think, is certainly handled much better. The ability to increase your speed is much further along the on-ramp, and they have much longer lead-ins so that cars can successfully merge onto the M1. So I think it's about driver education and it's about road construction.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
All right.
A
great chat,
we've
Philip.
achieved nothing, but thanks for the chat, John.
Well, who knows, might be listening, Philip. We might have a politician or a road engineer or someone there listening and thinking, hey, that's a good idea.
It is that time of year. They're looking for votes.
That's for sure. Okay,
thanks,
all the very
John.
best.
Bye.
And the time on 4CRB is just past 28 minutes past 9. I was going to talk about advanced health directives versus voluntary euthanasia. And I was saying before those last couple of calls that voluntary euthanasia, of course, is illegal. However, if you are concerned about your life being unnecessarily prolonged when you may end up with some very severe illness or even old age, I would suggest that you take a look at the Advanced Health Directive and how that can be used in terms of your health decisions going forward if you were to suffer some life-threatening illness, and particularly an illness that is very debilitating and may take years for you to pass away, or alternatively later in life if you develop dementia and you're concerned about being left in a vegetative state in a nursing home for years and years. I think this document is worth a good look for those of you concerned about these issues. So take a look at it and just see whether it may provide some answers for you. This is John Fradgley from the Bell Legal Group. It's been great to be with you this morning for another program of The Law and You. I'll look forward to being back with you again next Tuesday morning. But as always, until then, it's goodbye and God bless.